name is Alan Barnosky, and I'm going to be demonstrating Matteo Carcassi's Etude 13. This was a piece written for classical guitar, but I'm playing it here with a pick on a modern steel string guitar, and it works out really well this way. I find it's really good as a right hand skill building kind of exercise to kind of develop right hand coordination and accuracy. It's a pretty challenging piece to play as well, so I think you'll enjoy it. I'll just start by demonstrating the piece and playing through the whole thing, and then afterwards I've got a handful of ideas and tips on how to go about playing it. So here it is, Etude 13. So there it is. That's Etude 13. There are 4 different ideas that I'd like to talk about with this. 2 ideas for the right hand, 2 for the left hand. In the right hand, 2 different picking patterns, one using alternate picking, the other using down, down, up. In the left hand, the ideas of keeping notes ringing or sustain, and then also using a guide finger. So starting with the right hand, as you probably noticed, this piece uses a lot of cross-picking. Excuse me. And if you're not familiar with cross-picking, that means you're playing usually 3 strings in succession. Kind of like that. So that means that's cross-picking. Typically, cross-picking is done using alternate picking, which is down, up, down, up. So this is the first picking pattern we're going to talk about, is alternate picking. So down, up, just on a single string is like this. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And if you apply that to playing across 3 strings, it's like this. And you can do a bit quicker, and you realize that you have this kind of driving rhythmic sound. To be clear, if you've never cross-picked before, it may take you a while until you can do it quicker. But for folks who've been doing it for a long time, you can do it quicker, and it sounds like this. So you kind of have this bouncy type of feel. If you're going to work on Etude 13, I recommend working on the whole thing, start to finish, using alternate picking. Alternate picking is the most versatile way that you can play with a pick, or at least playing leads with a pick. You can use it over anything or everything, and many people do. So just to illustrate, if you were going to do Etude 13 using alternate picking just at the beginning, it would be something like this. So that's using alternate picking throughout. And I could go through the whole thing and do it alternate picking, but I think you get the idea. So I would recommend starting to learn the piece that way. Learn all the positions, the whole thing front to back, and be able to play it alternate picked. If you can do that, that's probably the best thing you can do. But once you get familiar with alternate picking, you might want to switch to using down, down, up in certain sections. So when you're playing across 3 strings, you can instead do down, down, up. And this gives a different kind of, it's the same notes, but the rhythmic quality is a bit different. You get, you kind of have more of a emphasis on this 3rd string. Right? It's more of like this triplet, kind of like a galloping type of feel. Compared to alternate picking, which I'll just do again, is that has more of this rhythmic bounce. It's a subtle difference, but it's definitely there. So in Etude 13, I like to use down, down, up in certain spots to highlight the melody. The melody is this line here. And if you use down, down, up, you can better highlight that melody. So it starts off with alternate picking. Down, down, up, down, down, up, then alternate. Down, down, up, down, down, up. And these are all down, down, ups. So you get the idea that down, down, up is used interspersed to bring out that melody. For the specific spots where I use down, down, up, you can look at the transcription. But yeah, the main takeaway there is work on alternate picking. Once that feels good, then start to work on the down, down, ups. So that's the right hand. With the left hand, 2 ideas. The first one is sustain, letting notes ring. So specifically letting this high E note ring. When I'm switching chord shapes, I like to let that E note ring. So, you can lift the whole hand up, it's still ringing, and then go to the next one. And that allows a little bit more fluidity in the sound. So, if that note wasn't ringing, you would have... But with the note ringing, you have... It makes it sound a lot more connected, right? Even if you just had these 2 notes and you did it quick, you still have a little bit of a gap there. So if you have that E note, it rings it out. The reason why I'm going so far in depth here is because this can really apply to other situations beyond Etude 13. If you find you're working through other pieces and you want more connectedness, you can find ways to let notes ring. Even if you have to move your fingers, having ringing open strings really allows a lot more sustain. So that's a really cool thing to take away from Etude 13. And it's also kind of difficult to do because you're moving through these different positions. It's easy to accidentally mute that string. So that's just something to be on the lookout for as you're working on this. And the last thing is the idea of using a guide finger. So a guide finger is when you use one of your fingers as a guide to move up and down the neck. So it's a guide along a string. A really good example is the passage in Etude 13, this one here. Notice my second finger is going all the way down the string. You could potentially play it like, then then switch, and switch. But that's hard. I think that's hard. Instead, I would recommend just using that second finger, and then that serves as a guide. So you're using second finger, first finger, then you second finger, third finger, second finger, first. So the one that's on the B string, switches between the first finger and the third finger, but your second finger is staying along that fourth string. Guide fingers are very common. They're discussed a lot, I should say, in classical guitar. I feel like I've heard less about a guide finger in other styles of guitar playing, but I don't think it's any less important. So Etude 13 works really well to understand how the guide finger works. You can use a guide finger almost everywhere in this piece. This passage is just a good example. If you'd like more tips on where to use a guide finger, look at the transcription. There's fingerings in there as well. So that's kind of everything. Oh, the last thing I was going to say is that this guide finger can be really helpful in all of your playing outside of Etude 13 as well. Anytime you move up and down the neck, the guide finger is going to be really helpful. So those are the big takeaways for me from learning through Etude 13. You may find others. If you do, let me know. If you have any questions for me, I'd love to know that as well. You can contact me through my email. My name is Alan Barnowski. You can find my website. Find me on social media. If you take a video and post this, I'd love to see it. So let me know about that as well. Have fun with this and good luck.